Welcome to Episode 6 on Language and Speech AI. This is Domain 4 of the exam, worth 10 to 15% of your score. The language services have been significantly consolidated and reorganized on Azure. Several older services have been retired and replaced, which creates exam traps because outdated study materials still reference the old names. In this episode, we cover the unified Azure AI Language Service, including Conversational Language Understanding, Named Entity Recognition, Sentiment Analysis, and custom question answering. We also cover Azure AI Speech for transcription and synthesis, Azure AI Translator for multilingual support, and language detection. Two retirement traps to keep in mind throughout. LUIS is retired, replaced by CLU. And Q&A Maker is retired, replaced by custom question answering in the language service. Let us start. Azure AI Language is the unified natural language processing service on Azure. It replaces several older services under a single endpoint and API. The service has two categories of capabilities. Pre-built capabilities work out of the box with no training required. Sentiment analysis scores text as positive, negative, or neutral and returns a confidence score. Key phrase extraction identifies the most important ideas in a piece of text. Named entity recognition, or NER, finds mentions of people, places, organizations, dates, and other named entities in text. Linked entity recognition goes further by linking recognized entities to their Wikipedia entries, providing structured knowledge about them. Language detection identifies what language a piece of text is written in. PII detection finds personally identifiable information like names, phone numbers, and addresses and can automatically redact them. Custom capabilities require you to provide training data. Custom NER trains a model to recognize domain-specific entity types. Custom text classification trains a model to categorize documents into your own label set. Conversational Language Understanding, or CLU, is the replacement for LUIS and handles intent classification and entity extraction in conversational AI. Sentiment analysis determines whether text expresses a positive, negative, or neutral sentiment. The basic version returns a document-level sentiment. This review is overall positive. Sentence-level analysis breaks this down per sentence, which is useful when a review contains mixed sentiments across different topics. The confidence scores work as a probability distribution. Positive, neutral, and negative scores that always sum to 1.0. The document is classified by whichever score is highest. Opinion mining, sometimes called sect-level sentiment analysis, is the more powerful version. Instead of just saying the review is negative, it identifies what the reviewer felt negatively about. The example: the food was great, but the service was slow. Opinion mining returns two targets: food with positive sentiment and service with negative sentiment. This granularity is essential for customer experience analytics, where you need to know not just whether customers are unhappy, but which specific aspect of the experience is the problem. For the exam, if a scenario asks about understanding what specifically customers complain about, the answer is opinion mining, not basic sentiment analysis. Named entity recognition is the capability that identifies and classifies references to real-world objects in text. The pre-built NER model recognizes dozens of entity types out of the box. The most commonly used are person, organization, location, and various date and time expressions. It also recognizes digital entities like URLs, email addresses, and IP addresses, as well as financial entities like currency amounts and product names. PII detection is a specialized version focused on privacy-sensitive information. It recognizes identifiers like social security numbers, passport numbers, credit card numbers, and medical record numbers. Beyond detection, it can redact these entities from the text, replacing them with placeholder labels like social security number. This is important for compliance scenarios where you need to process documents but cannot store or transmit personally identifiable information. Custom NER extends the pre-built model for domain-specific entity types. For example, a healthcare application might need to extract drug names, dosages, and diagnoses from clinical notes. You train custom NER on labeled examples of these entity types. Entity resolution is a related feature that connects entity mentions across a document. It recognizes that John and Mr. Smith and he in the same document all refer to the same person. This slide is critical. LUIS, the Language Understanding Service, was retired by Microsoft in September 2025 and is no longer available. If you see LUIS as an answer option on the exam, it is almost certainly wrong. The replacement for LUIS is Conversational Language Understanding, or CLU, which is now a feature within the unified Azure AI Language Service. CLU provides the same core capabilities as LUIS: intent classification and entity extraction. When a user says something to your bot or application, CLU identifies their intent, what they want to do, and extracts entities, specific values they mentioned. For example, if a user says book a flight to Seattle tomorrow, CLU would return the intent book flight with entities destination equals Seattle and date equals tomorrow. CLU is built and trained in the Azure AI Language Studio portal and is fully multilingual by default without separate language-specific training. If you are working with any existing system built on LUIS, Microsoft provides a migration tool to convert LUIS applications to CLU. On the exam, any scenario asking about intent classification or conversational NLU should route to CLU, not LUIS. Custom question answering is the replacement for Q&A Maker, which was retired by Microsoft in March 2025. It is now a feature within the Azure AI Language service. The core concept: you build a knowledge base by providing it with documents, FAQ web pages, or manually entered question and answer pairs. The service indexes all this content and makes it searchable. When a user asks a question, the service finds the best matching answer and returns it along with a confidence score. You add knowledge from multiple sources. You can provide URLs to FAQ pages, upload PDF or Word documents, or enter Q&A pairs manually in the Language Studio interface. The confidence threshold is an important setting. You define the minimum score an answer needs to be returned. If no answer exceeds the threshold, the service returns your configured fallback message, something like, "I'm sorry, I don't have information about that." Chit-chat is a pre-built personality feature that handles small talk like, "Hello, how are you?" and "Thank you," without requiring you to add these manually. For exam scenarios, a bot that answers questions from company documentation is custom question answering. A bot that understands user commands and executes them is CLU. Azure AI Speech is the unified speech processing service. Speech-to-text, or STT, converts audio to text. The real-time mode processes streaming audio and returns text as it is spoken, essential for live captioning and real-time voice interaction. Batch transcription processes large audio files asynchronously, ideal for transcribing call recordings, meeting archives, or training data. Custom speech lets you fine-tune the STT model for your specific domain. If you are transcribing medical conversations or technical support calls, the standard model may not recognize domain-specific vocabulary accurately. You train custom speech on examples from your domain to improve recognition. Text-to-speech converts text to natural-sounding audio. Azure provides over 400 neural voices across more than 140 languages. Custom Neural Voice, a limited access feature, lets you create a voice that sounds like a specific person. SSML gives you fine-grained control over prosody, the rate of speech, pitch, volume, and where the system pauses. Speaker recognition is a security feature for voice authentication. Verification confirms a person is who they claim to be. Identification determines who from a known group is speaking in a recording. Conversation transcription is designed for multi-speaker meeting recordings, tracking who said what with timestamps. Azure AI Translator provides neural machine translation across 100+ languages. The service offers 3 translation modes. Text translation is the simplest. You call the API with text and a target language, and you get back the translated text. The source language can be auto-detected, so you do not need to know what language the user is writing in. Document translation processes entire documents asynchronously. You submit a Word document, PDF, or text file, and receive back the translated document, preserving the original formatting and layout. Custom Translator lets you train a translation model on your own bilingual data. If your company has a large corpus of previously translated technical documents, you can use these as training data to create a translation model that uses your specific terminology consistently. Transliteration is a related but distinct feature. It converts text between different scripts without translating the meaning. For example, converting Arabic text to Roman letters so it can be read phonetically by someone who does not know Arabic script. For the exam, the combination of speech and translator services enables real-time speech translation, speech to text, then translate, then text to speech in the target language. This pipeline powers live translation features in Microsoft Teams meetings. The language domain exam traps are mostly about retired services. Trap 1. LU is retired. If LU is appears as an answer option, it is wrong. CLU is the correct service for intent classification and conversational NLU. Trap 2. Q&A Maker is retired. If Q&A Maker appears as an answer option, it is wrong. Custom question answering in Azure AI Language is the correct replacement. Trap 3. CLU versus custom question answering. These are both in the language service but for different purposes. CLU handles commands and structured interactions. The user wants to do something, extract what they want, intent, and what parameters they specified, entities. Custom question answering handles knowledge retrieval. The user is asking for information. Find the best matching answer from your knowledge base. If a bot scenario involves understanding user requests and triggering actions, choose CLU. If it involves answering questions from a document collection, choose custom question answering. Trap 4. Custom neural voice is limited access. You must apply to Microsoft and provide written consent from the voice talent being cloned. You cannot train a custom voice on someone's audio without their explicit permission. Language detection is a simple but powerful feature of the language service. Given a piece of text, it identifies what language it is written in and returns the ISO 639-1 language code, the full language name, and a confidence score. This is useful as the first step in any multilingual application. Before you can process or respond to user input, you need to know what language they are using. Building a fully multilingual AI solution on Azure typically follows this pattern. You detect the user's language from their input, then you either route to a language-specific processing model or translate the input to a standard language for processing. CLU has excellent multilingual support. You train your model in one language and it generalizes to work across dozens of other languages without separate training. For the voice translation pipeline used in real-time translation scenarios, first, Azure AI Speech transcribes the spoken audio to text. Second, Azure AI Translator translates the text to the target language. Third, Azure AI Speech synthesizes the translated text back to speech in the target language. This pipeline powers real-time translation in Microsoft products and is a pattern you should be able to design from scratch on the exam. Let us close episode 6 with the key takeaways. The two most important facts from this episode: Lu is retired. Q&A Maker is retired. Their replacements are CLU and custom question answering, both in the Azure AI Language service. The language service has two tiers: pre-built capabilities that work out of the box, and custom capabilities that you train on your own data. Pre-built covers sentiment analysis, NER, key phrase extraction, PII detection, and language detection. Custom covers your own entity types, your own classifiers, CLU intents, and your own Q&A base. The distinction between CLU and custom question. Answering CLU is for understanding what the user wants to do. Q&A is for answering questions from a knowledge base. The speech service provides comprehensive audio capabilities, STT in real time for live transcription and in batch mode for audio file processing, TTS with over 400 neural voices, custom speech for domain-specific recognition, custom neural voice, limited access, for voice cloning with consent. Translator handles real-time text translation, full document translation, and custom translation models for specialized vocabulary. Episode 7 is our final episode. We covered document intelligence and knowledge mining, Domain 5. See you there.